You know, for the last few days, the wind really kicked up, and it actually just started kicking up after I got done finishing my nocks. But today it is perfectly still, so it's actually the perfect time to come out and do a little bit more filming regarding this arrow. And I actually stayed in the field a few nights, and it got really cold. I mean, it got cold all of a sudden. The temperature differences and the way that the environment has been reacting for the past few days has been very odd. It went from hot to cold again, so just very, very weird for May weather. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and continue on with my arrow. So at this point, what I want is I want to wrap this arrowhead, like I said, and I also want to seat this nock. And how I do that is with something called deer sinew. And what this is, for some of you that don't know, is it is the tendon that comes from the deer leg. And in this little haversack, I do have some deer leg sinew and a little bit of white sage that I use from time to time. And this is exactly what it looks like. Now, they do make artificial sinew, but what I find is this deer leg sinew or even the backstrap sinew works excellent. It's like a natural glue. So once you wrap it and it starts drying out, it forms a really, really hard material just from your saliva. So what you want to do is you want to peel off a real thin strip of this deer leg sinew, and you want to start chewing it a little bit. You don't want to bite down. You just want to kind of let it settle in your mouth and let the saliva react to the deer leg sinew. And then once it's wet, you can start wrapping your arrows. So that's what we'll use right now. And I'm just going to, I have a little baggie set to the side with some already thin strips. And what I want to do is I just want to take a piece just like that. And I'll get it nice and wet, and then I can start wrapping. So we'll start off with the nock. And all I'm doing is I'm wrapping up top, and I'm just going to form an X on the inside of this nock so it can seat just a little bit better. And I just want to wrap around. And then I want to tuck this little tag in underneath itself. And what that's going to do is that is going to secure it a little bit better. So I'll just take this around, and I kind of use my middle finger to make a loop. And once I find that tag end, I just pull it tight. And I can secure it. Just like that. So now you can see what we have. we just have a little seat for that bowstring so it doesn't bite through when I string it up to the bow. Alright, so we're moving on to the arrowhead, and usually I want my sinew, each strand, to be about 6 to 7 inches in length. That's a really good length to bind this arrowhead on nice and tight. And I just wrap around. And we'll get another strand. And I'll continue on wrapping my arrowhead. And again, once I hit that end, I just want to feed the one tag end through a loop and pull that tight. That's just going to secure it that much better. Alright, so as you can see, this arrowhead is nice and secure, and at this point all I have to do is let it dry, and once this dries, this leg sinew is going to hold this arrowhead extremely well, and it's not going anywhere. I have this glued on, and it's wrapped with this leg sinew. Once the sinew dries, it's just like fiberglass. It's extremely strong. As a matter of fact, a lot of folks that make traditional bows will back their bows using the leg or the backstrap sinew because it adds a lot more reinforcement to their bow and it prevents any breaking and exploding. So this is definitely the way to go. It's the naturalist route. Once again, our Creator provides us with the animals, and I have a high respect for the animal that gave its life for me to use different tools, the meats, the hides, and whatnot. So a high amount of respect, and we always honor the spirit of the animal. So at this point, I can do one of two things. I can either leave this arrow blank and start the fletching right away, or I can start painting this arrow either a solid red color or a black and red color. And how I would do that is using a mineral pigment called ochre. This was originally a yellow ochre, but I went ahead and I fired it, and now as you can see, it's a red ochre. So all I would do is I would take this and pound it down into a fine powder using a mortar and pestle, and I can start mixing with that with different fats, and I can make a beautiful red pigment, and I can start painting it. For the black color, I can use charcoal. So depending on how I want my arrow. But in this case, since this is just a practice arrow and I'm going to be shooting it around for demonstration, I'm going to leave it blank and I'm going to start the fletching right now.